Hey guys, what's up? It's SKNOVA here. It has been a little while since I made a video, and it is long overdue. In case you haven't heard me say A yet, I'm actually Canadian and really into the hockey playoffs at the moment. So that's slowed me down from making some videos, as well as I've been grinding a lot lately. With the change to Bad L in the last patch, I've kind of had to rethink my clan boss team. So I've actually been working on two heroes. One is Apothecary, and the other is Steel Skull. So those two heroes I think might replace my Fushan and Bad L in my clan boss team. Still to be determined, still need some gear, and I'm still working on getting the characters to level up Steel Skull to 60, and I gotta level up their gear before I can really try it out, and I guess grind their masteries. So I did Apothecary to Giant Slayer, and Steel Skull's next, so still a few days out. Lots of grinding, no excuse not to make a video, but this video, what I wanted to do was talk about the best healers in the game. So not just healers, not just support characters in general, but specifically characters that can heal you. And sort of one of the criteria that I was looking at, most of the times when you need the heals will be in a lot of the dungeons. And in the dungeons, most of the bosses have AoE abilities, meaning you will be taking damage on all of your characters. So this sort of leans towards prioritizing healers that can heal everybody. So what I'll do is, this one is a little bit backwards. I'll start from what I think are maybe the top 5 healers in the game, kind of leaning towards, clan boss and higher end dungeons. And then I'll talk about which ones I think are sort of mid-tier. And then I'll sort of go over some that I think are a little bit overrated, or maybe people think are better than they are, actually. And I'll explain why when we get there. So to start off with, where do you want to go first? Let's talk about the big one, who used to be probably the #1 legendary in the game, but with the recent nerf to his passive here, now it actually does what it says it's supposed to do. So it's not really a nerf, it's more they fixed the overpoweredness of Bad L. Before, this was multiplying by the number of characters on your team. So if you're in a dungeon with 5 characters, it was probably doing more like 75% increased damage, which was insane. So, and it actually stacked with multiple Bad Ls. So I don't know how high you could get, but there were teams of multiple Bad Ls. Crazy people who must have spent tons of money to get them, that were doing insane damage in Clan Boss, and they fixed that. With the fix, we will call it, he sort of returned back to normal. I think he's still in top 5 because his healing throughput is still pretty high. He's basically healing people for 30% per turn. With the cooldown reduction, you only really miss, 1 turn, I guess, without it on them. The caveat to continuous heal is that if you have characters that take extra turns, it uses up your continuous heals. You will overheal quite a bit, we'll call it, and it's not necessarily on use. The other catch to this is it's tied to his poison debuff, which you probably want to put on anyways, and it works well with his poison damaging ability. I mean, basically you put poison on them and your team does more damage, so it still increases your team damage. And also his A1 when he attacks heals the team. So this is really good in like the spider lair, where he'll hit a bunch of spiders and that'll give your team a huge heal. Not so great on the clan boss, where oftentimes you're not really stacking attack on this guy, and since the change to the way his passive worked, his attacks don't hit for as much, so he's not healing for as much, so his A1 healing has been decreased significantly. Still put him in the top 5. Still really good. He's obviously a legendary. He's going to be good. He's good for sustain. Keep your team up in many instances. But there are now better healers for the clan boss. So let's go overcome some of those. So one of the ones that people are switching to quite a bit now. Oops, not the organ. The Skinwalker's Steel Skull. He kind of looks like an orc, but I guess he's more of a giant cow kind of guy. Or pig, hard to tell. The reason people are using him for the clan boss now is because of his A1 2-hit ability. And obviously with Giant Slayer procs, that produces a lot of damage. The other nice thing about him is he does have a So removing debuffs is great. Bad L did that as well. This replaces that. So in cases when the clown boss stuns your characters, you can remove that, or you get a poison debuff, removes that. In other dungeons where you get attack down, or slow, or weakened, or heal reduction, any of those things, this removes that and then heals them. 40% is pretty large for a heal all, as well as pretty much on a 3-turn cooldown once you skill them up. So that is pretty valuable. It is in between that, if you do take lots of damage on the old team, he has a second ability, which increases defense, which is very nice to have, and gives you another 20%. But it is of their max HP, which is a little bit different than, well, I guess it's, so heals them by 40% or heals their 20% of their max P. I think will be about the same. What you kind of like on healers, ideally, is if it was 20% of Steel Skull's HP, and you could stack HP on them, get it really high, and then do a really big heal on many of your other characters. Still good. Could be better with that change, but the increased defense also is pretty beneficial. So in times where you know you're going to take big damage, like if you know the clan boss's ability rotation, he's going to do his big AoE attack, you can kind of increase your defense here, take less damage. Good for your party. So he's probably, you know, between Bad L losing his ability to heal, Steel Skull is probably a much better replacement, so he's getting used quite often. And the other one that you see in Clan Boss quite a bit, not really totally for his healing abilities, because I think his healing is not, you know, his healing throughput isn't as good as other characters. He has a multi-hit A1. Now 3 times multi-hit A1 is pretty close to the best you can get, other than Cold Heart. So very good. He does have a heal that can crit. Only heals one person, but really what you're going to bring him to the Clown Boss for is this ability. So bumping turn meter and increasing speed is huge. The more turns you get, the better off you are. As you go up in levels in the Clan Boss, I mean to Brutal and Nightmare, it gets harder and harder to get multiple turns per round, so you can't always get all of your multiple abilities off that you might want. The boss's resistance goes really high, so poison and HP burn and those kind of things start to lose value as they start to get resisted. So you start to go more of a multi-hit route where all your characters have multi-hit. You ideally have counterattack because the boss is much faster too. And you want to make your characters as fast as possible, and you want to increase turn meter because you can't decrease the boss's turn meter, but you can increase your own. All those things are really good, making Apothecary, you know, top end game. So it's funny that both Apothecary and Aethel, 2 rares, are actually really, really good end game. So that's kind of cool to see. So I put Apothecary in the top well, 5, we'll say, as well. Not necessarily for his healing, but just because his other skills make him so good. It's not totally about support heroes. Technically, he's a healer. We'll make an exception for him because he's just that good. So Vrask possibly has the best throughput in the game right now, in terms of if you were taking sustained damage, Vrask would be able to heal the best out of all the healers consistently. The main thing is that he has his passive is when he crits, he heals 10%. So what a lot of people are doing is they're putting the Relentless Gear on him, which give him an extra, I think it's 18% chance of having an extra turn. You obviously want to max out his crit where possible. And so whenever you attack, you are going to heal the team, everybody, by 10% of his max HP. And that's what makes it so good. So you stack HP on him as well. The healing he does is based off his max HP, which, you know, could be 20 or 30% of some other people's hit points. And you can possibly get 2 or 3 turns per round with Relentless Gear, with counterattack, basically every time he attacks, you're healing. So if you need pure healing throughput, Vrask is technically number 1. That's pretty much all he does. His damage is kind of minimal compared to those other things. It does scale based off his HP, but you're not going to be seeing huge numbers from him. But basically, he provides the healing, and he can heal your entire team. And realistically, you can still put Giant Slayer on him, still do well in the Clown Boss. So if you don't have some of the other healers, like the multi-hit guys, you can use Vrask. Also in dungeons, in a lot of cases, you're still going to need a healer around. Any dungeon that has the Force affinity, Vrask is a great choice for that. So, let's go number 5. I don't have him, but Zarota, I think, is a pretty decent healer. The things that make him good is not only does he have heal, so he has a continuous heal, and for continuous heal, there's 2 types. There's people that have a 7.5% and a 15%. Obviously, you want the bigger one. But what is really beneficial, which not a lot of people that have it, is the shield buff. So for shield, I believe it either reduces or eliminates the ability to be critically hit, which can be huge. And it's kind of on top of, if you are already capped out, it gives you a little bit of extra health. So in times like Clan Boss, where you could get one shot, it gives you less likelihood of being one shot. It gives you that extra health. So it's kind of like adding to your health. So those are great benefits of shield. The only catches with maybe Zelta is that his healing throughput won't be as high, right? Because it's only it's a 4-turn ability. You can't really reduce it. And so on things like Clan Boss, where you're constantly getting hit every round, you may not be able to keep everybody up, especially as it ramps up higher in levels. But still really good. He's used a lot in PvP for some of his abilities, and great in many dungeons. So the sleep debuff, I think, is not the greatest. It's a very low chance. He's not really for that. It's mostly his healing throughput. He's kind of getting, I was choosing between top 5. Obviously the top 4 that we just went over are probably must have almost in certain cases, and these guys are getting a little bit more situational. Still can be really good, really good on certain dungeons, but we'll kind of go see why. So Zelta is kind of the bridge there between the really good and the upper middle pack guys. The other one that I think can be debatable, I've heard a lot of people talk about this too. He was choosing my top epic video, not as the top 10, but up there, is Doom Priest. Now she buffs crit rate, which is good. It's random. A lot of times what I've found is, as you get higher level and you're pretty much have epic gear on everybody, the ones that need crit, you're going to probably have close to 100% crit already. So the extra crit buff isn't super beneficial there. And for things like the Clan Boss, the increased attack isn't as beneficial, because more damage comes from Giant Slayer and possibly poisons and HP burn and those kind of things. So not increased attack is bad, but those things are not as powerful later on as they are early on. So like early to mid game, Doom Priest is absolutely fantastic. Your passive is, well, it's a passive, so it's always going off. So you're constantly healing. You want to make her as fast as possible. So most people give her speed. Look at the recommended architects. Yeah, speed and life. You want her to have as many turns as possible, because the more turns she has, the more she heals. So I think Retaliation Gear also works. Sorry, not Retaliation Gear, Relentless Gear. Get those two mixed up once in a while. The gear that makes you have an extra turn. If you have an extra turn, you'll heal double extra time. And the more turns you have, the better you are. You pair with somebody that gives turn meter increase, like say Apothecary, gives her more turns as well, gives her more healing. So in certain cases, she can be really, really good. I just ranked her a little bit lower, not because I don't like her, just because on the Clan Boss, she won't be quite as good as some of the other ones, increasing damage, which is really what you want to do as fast as possible, or increasing turn meter. She does have a speed aura, but it only affects force allies, and it's a little bit lower than what you can get elsewhere. It's actually kind of hard to get a good speed aura in the Clan Boss. In Arena, you can. Fushan is probably the closest person, and he has 23%. So I have seen him used in Clan Boss as well, possibly for that reason. So there we go. So Zelata, Doom Priest, and the other ones we'll go over here. Tassel. He's also in my top epics video. Pretty decent healing. He's got 25% of his max HP, which again is higher than Vrask, which was 10, but it's on a 4-turn cooldown, 3 with skills. He also an increased defense buff, kind of like Zelda, so that's a benefit. He does have an attack all, so oftentimes he's used in arena because of that. But because of his lower throughput than some of the very top healers, I've ranked him slightly lower, but he's still middle of the pack. If you get him, he's still good. He's going to be good for many dungeons. Not a bad healer to have, but you know, if you're going to invest in any of the healers, probably the top 4 would be your first choice, and this guy would be in there your second choice kind of thing. There's 2 healers that I want to mention here that I think are interesting. And they both have similar abilities. So Mystic Hand, we talked about in my Rares video. He's really good in the Magic Keep, now that the stealing random buffs is back. So removing buffs is one thing, but actually stealing buffs can be amazing. You steal the Magic Keep boss's huge shield, and this guy is invincible for 2 turns. It's that awesome. One of the cool things he has is he's able to heal, and equalize. Now I haven't totally confirmed this, but his equalize seems to bring everybody's HP up to the highest. That's what equalize means. It doesn't average them out. It brings everybody up to the highest. That's really powerful. I think this character could actually be a epic character. The advantage of being rare is rare tomes are easier to get, so potentially you can skill him up easier than an epic hero. Basically, based off his skill sets, I think he could be epic. Maybe his stats are a little bit lower, which makes him rare, but based just off his skill set, you know, you could easily have this skill set on an epic character and be happy about it. The character that is similar to him is obviously Sneisha, which we'll find here. Her equalize ability is just equalize. So it doesn't have the heal and equalize. But she does have a heal, which has the ability to put target skills on cooldown, which doesn't work for many dungeon bosses, but it could work in arena, where I've seen her used as well. So it's kind of like her skill set's broken up a little bit, does something a little bit different. She's also used a lot because of her AoE A1, which is pretty good in many cases. So those 2 heroes are unique because of the high turn count for that equalize ability. Not going to be your main healer, but they're sort of very good in certain situations. So they are up there. Not quite, you know, the top 10 for healing throughput, but definitely up there. Here's some other good ones. So just kind of taking, so we've kind of gone over like, I don't know, 10 heroes or so. I'll put Romero as a situational healer. He pairs with Juliana, if you have her. He has pretty low, what do you say? He has a lower continuous heal, but it is on its A1, so we will keep putting it on people. He's based off defense, so he's a pretty tanky healer. So he's kind of a support defense hero, we'll say. He has a 15% heal that he puts on everybody, which also steals a buff. So I think that's very situational. Doesn't work in cases like Clan Boss, but in certain dungeons, you know, potentially very good. And he also has a shield and increased defense buff. So that is very unique. If you do have Juliana on the team, he has a triple attack. So that's potentially pretty good for things like Spider Lair. And it's just that his abilities and Juliana's abilities don't totally mesh. Like, I don't know if you'd use him necessarily in the Clan Boss. Not really. He only has a one-hit A1, and his heals aren't solely that great. So I think it's a little bit unique where you use them. I guess if you're using Juliana in the Spider's Lair, then Romero matches with her. So interesting healer. I don't have him to try this out, but I think very situational. And there's also, so I have on here, should we go over, let's go over some of the healers that I think are maybe overrated, that I think are harder to use. And one of them is here on this page, so we'll talk about her next. So Cardinal, being a Void epic hero, you'd want her to be very good. And she has a very unique ability, so I guess that's why she's a Void hero, because it's hard to find. She has a single target heal, which is only 30% of their max HP. So that's not even that good of a heal. And then she has this ability, which is the one that makes her unique, which is revive a dead ally and heal them. And the unique part about this, because other people do have the revive, is that the hero that you revive takes a turn. So if you have characters like, so the place I can see of using this is that if you use during an arena for someone like Gore Grab, that people might focus on first, or Skull Crusher with a counterattack, or Martyr. Martyr doesn't die that easily. Let's say you have a character that's a little bit squishier, say Gore Grab. People are going to focus on him first because he's going to heal everyone else that they kill. So usually in arena we try to kill him first. Cardinal could bring him back, and he would be able to revive everybody. Super niche, super situational, and that only happens if Cardinal doesn't also die. So very rare. The other case I can see her being good is if they had a hero that when he died did a bunch of damage to everybody, or gave everybody crazy buffs, and so you'd make him very weak, and so that he would die very easily in arena, and then she could bring him back alive. That hero doesn't exist, so for that reason Cardinal is pretty low, and you can see by the reviews that she's not ranked very high for anything. So very situational, very weak. The other one that I like to point out, because people might fall for this trap, is Hex Weaver, and her heal sounds really good on this. Like if you skilled her up, you're like, oh, so you heal everybody by 15%, but if you skill her up, it goes up by another 30%, so 45% of their max HP. No, that is not how it works. It's 10% of 15%. So you rank her up, and basically she does 18 or 19% of their max HP. Not worth the skill tomes. So she may have the best corset in the game, but she has one of the most terrible heals. And people fall into that trap, and they waste a bunch of rare skill tomes on her, and then they're angry and bitter at the game. So do not fall for that trap. She is not that good. Unfortunately, much better healers. Decreased accuracy is also, I don't know where that is very useful right now. So not too good. She does have a little bit of a crit and speed buff, but overall, very mediocre. Don't bother leveling up. Don't get fooled by the thought that she might be a good healer. So those are really the two that I really wanted to talk about as potentially not so good. A lot of people ask about War Priest. Where's War Priest here? Oh, she's a Banner Lord, not a Sacred Order, isn't she? No. Oh. Did I just miss her? War Priest, where are you? Oh, there you are. There you are. Yeah, so and everybody has her, or you get her because she's free, and you get her at the end of finishing kind of the tutorial part of the game. Her heal is okay in the beginning. If you ascend her, and it heals everybody a little bit more, also not bad. And it's on I guess it's a 4-turn cooldown, which isn't bad. It's basically mediocre. She's good because she has a good support role skill set, but I don't think I've ever seen anyone use her in high level arena or anything like that. She's going to turn into food for most people eventually, so I wouldn't spend a lot of resources on her, because every other healer can probably do what she does a little bit better. Anyone in the top 10, let's say. Now, there's some other people that do... oh, I missed one really good healer, actually. So, I missed her because she's often used more in PvP, like in the arena. That's where I see her most often. She does have a 3-hit A1. The freeze ability doesn't work on any of the bosses. Great in arena, especially if it hits and it freezes all like 3 different people, which I've seen happen. She has a pretty powerful heal. Now, with skill tomes, it goes down to 4 turns, so it's a little bit slow. But you can heal one person a lot, everyone else by a little bit, and if people are topped off already, which does happen, you put a continuous heal on them, so future damage is healed. Now, that's kind of cool, I think, because a lot of times a heal all by, say, 30% is great. There's going to be a lot of overhealing. If that's your only heal, and you only need to heal one person, you have to make the call of, do I waste the heal, only heal one person, or do I risk the chance of maybe them getting one shot or killed in the next round? So it's kind of nice to have something like this where you get a targeted heal, you get cases where you heal everybody, and you get a little bit of continuous heal for the people that are getting overhealed. So a little bit of everything. She probably, could easily fall into the top 10 too. Just forget about her sometimes because of her being a legendary and hard to get. You don't necessarily see her as often. And for raw healing throughput, maybe other people are easier to get and possibly better. So she's on the list. She's pretty good. And, with that note too, I didn't include a lot of heal or people that have, I didn't include anybody that only heals themselves. I don't think that counts as a healer. That's just sort of like a sustainability for yourself. Sir Nikolas could fall into the category of a healer because he does have a heal buff, which is also has an unkillable buff, which is pretty powerful. But it's on such a long cooldown, even at 4 turns, and it's not 15% continuous heal isn't a ton. He also has a shield buff, which is pretty powerful. So this is sort of the shield is really powerful. People that put him on the arena defense team is probably the best place for him. He's great in arena. He has huge sustain. He can shield everybody. He's got a heal. He does really good damage. He's an HP hero, so you stack his HP. Hard to kill. He has a HP aura. Some people use him for that. All around a really good hero. Unlike the later Fusion Shamrock, who still haven't really found much use for him. And then technically not a healer, but you can count his ability of blocking damage as similar to healing. Makes people last longer in the battle. Super annoying in arena. Now that buff steal and remove buff stuff is working a little bit better, maybe there'll be more counters to him. But in terms of like arena defense, he's got to be the #1 character. Wish I had him. Not only the #1 most annoying character, but probably the best. If you stack speed on him and he gets to go first, maybe after Seeker or Gorgrab. But if he goes early on and the rest of your team gets 2 free turns to attack, then you don't really need to have as much defensive gear on your team. You can go out all on offense. It becomes very hard to beat. So I just wanted to put that out there. And I think that's... Oh, Adriel. And... Yes. So Adriel's probably just outside the top 10. She has a 20% heal, which can be on a 3 turn, and a reflect damage, which is kind of unique. And I don't know how much of the damage is reflected. Need to try her out. So actually, she's got a lot of reviews. I think she's good. Maybe she could be higher. She's got multiple uses. Decreased attack or accuracy is not good. But she has an attack all, which is fantastic. It puts decreased attack, which is pretty good. You would use that in say, clan bosses where it's really good, but you can also use it on the the spider lair, so things like that. This heal is pretty good, and the reflect damage buff is interesting too. Tied to that, she has an all battles speed aura for magic heroes only. So I think she is pretty good. So I know I have like 12 heroes in the top 10. She should also be in there. So I sort of missed that one. Caught it here too. So any of you that have her and were wondering why she wasn't in the video yet, there she is. There's also Cardinal, or no, Chaplain. She's actually a decent healer for a rare healer. She kind of loses out to some of the better epic and of course legendary healers out there that you can get. From what I've heard, you can just stack her up. She can be fairly high damage and also healing because her heals are based off of her attack. So that's kind of a unique thing. Most healers are either based off of HP. She might be the only one I know of that's based off of attack. She also has this ability, which could potentially make her very good for, say, the spider lair. So when you're attacking everybody and that heals everybody, similar to Bad L's ability. But yeah, so let's see how the reviews say. Yeah, she's not rated extremely high. That's unfortunate. So, like I said, I don't have her. Well, I don't have her leveled up, so I can't tell if this is good or not. But you know, possibly usable in certain situations. If she is the only hero you got, because you opened up some ancient shards, you don't have any of the epic or better heroes, she could be a good choice to try out. I don't know if she we wanted level 260 though. So I put her in my 10 plus is what I have written here. Team. I sort of had like ones that could be top 10 and ones that would be outside that list, and she falls into the outside that list. And technically, I guess Gorgrab could fall into a healer's list because he has a heals all allies by 25%. He's probably the #1 go-to support for arena defense because of his turn meter increase here and his speed aura. So, you know, in arena, this guy is absolutely fantastic. You wouldn't necessarily use him as a healer for clan boss or anything like that, because it's, you know, too long of a cooldown to heal, and he only has a one-hit A1. So if you wanted somebody similar, you'd probably use Seeker over Gorgrab for late game clan boss. Seeker has a Seeker here, slightly higher turn meter increase, but doesn't have the heal, I guess, for everybody. Different sets of abilities. Alright. I guess there's one more hero that we can talk about. I guess my list could have been a little bit more organized. He's a Bannerlord, actually. So Lugan, Zedbast, interesting healer. This ability is sort of like Battle again, where it's based off of damage done. The catch to it is I don't think it does I can't say that. So it heals. It does 25% of damage done. He is HP based. I don't know what the scaling is on his heal. It could potentially be a lot. I think if you had him stacked with Battle pre-nerf and you were getting, you know, 80 or 100k crits, and you're hitting by 25% of that, that is a huge amount. More likely you're probably in the 20 to 40k per hit, I'd guess. That's kind of similar to what most certain, say, Nikolases are doing now. He's also HP. So you're healing for 10k, which is 40 to 60% of. Actually, that's not true. Most people have in the 30 to 40k HP range, I'd say, somewhere in that ballpark, unless they're stacking defense and HP. So you're healing, 20 to 40% of someone's health, and I think that's pretty decent. I don't have him to try out. I don't know if people use him just for the healing ability. He's kind of like a buffer type of person. Probably more situational because I don't really know where you need him. I guess if you're doing a dungeon with a single enemy, like say Dragon Slayer, and you need the healing, he could be pretty good. He is a spirit hero, so maybe you use him on the force boss. Yeah, so situational. We'll throw him in there. I don't have him in the top healers, but maybe someone could point out if his attack heal is actually pretty huge, then maybe he would be pretty useful. And he's legendary, so hard to get, but maybe he could be on the list. So let me know in the comments below if I missed anybody, if there's anyone you think should be on the list, like Raglan here, who probably, I think, I don't know how this ability works because I don't have her, so someone could fill me in and say, actually, sorry, the heals, this isn't the wrong, I'm all backwards. There's one character that heals based off debuffs removed. I think that's Valerie. This one just heals based off their attack. So, support hero that you want to stack high attack on. She has reasonably high attack, ascended at 6 stars, so that could be pretty good. She has a pretty good revive ability, much better than Cardinal's. And if this was a fill all allies by 15%, she would be absolutely insane. A random allies, not as good. Void legendary, hard to get, still really cool, and definitely could be situationally really good. So we will throw her in that could be good list. I just don't know because we don't have her. Alright guys, hopefully that helps outline some of the top healers. Again, just quickly reiterate my top 4. I had Bad Alcazar, even post-nerf. Maybe not number 1 anymore, but still up there. Steel Skull, Apothecary, Vrask, Zelota, Doom Priest, Tassel. I put Mystic Hand and Tanisha maybe in the top 10 because of, you know, the ability to heal everybody back up. I think that's pretty good. And Adriel, I think, would also be rounding up to the top 10 there. Ooh, she's right here. So one, it's on the list. I just don't know. So the only reason I didn't include her is because this is only a single target heal. But there was a comment in one of my previous videos where someone pointed out that if you have someone like Skull Crusher, who puts counterattack on everybody and takes a portion of all the damage, he's going to be taking a bunch of damage. He has Unkillable on him, but he could potentially be dropped really low. Someone like Sethalia could heal him up to near full with the heal. So that could be pretty powerful. Again, it's very, very situational and maybe a little bit hard to pull off, but it's a good point. She has the highest single target heal that I've seen in the game, and for that reason I think she's worth mentioning. Definitely not your sole healer for everything. And she also has this leech debuff, and I looked through all the healers. There's only 3 healers that have this leech debuff, so I don't know exactly how it works. I've never tried it. One of them I do have though, so I'll have to look into a little bit more. Is this Drang, who's actually rated pretty bad, but where is it here? Boop, boop, boop. Oh, I thought he had the leech debuff. Stun debuff. Never mind. I'm gonna have to cut this out. I thought he was the one that had the leech debuff, unless they changed him. Unless my list was wrong. Okay, we'll scrap that one. The other one is Temptress, which is, she's Undead Horde. So she's the only rare hero, other than some of the Void. There's 3 Void heroes I don't have, and then Temptress. For rare heroes that I don't have, she has a leech debuff. So what Sethalia had was a 10% leech. I don't know what percentage this leech is, but I could imagine that that leech debuff would be really good. Like, you put that in clan bosses, basically like giving all of your characters, though it's not quite as good as Vampiric or Lifesteal because it's a 30% leech, but if it's a 10% leech, right, and you have multi-hit characters, and say it's, you know, 10% per hit, that still adds up quite a bit. 20-30% per attack. So someone will have to try her out and tell me if this actually works. I think possibly one of the reasons why, oops, sorry, I haven't got her yet is it seemed like while the buff steel was broken, some of the buff steel characters became very rare to find. Don't know if that's true or not. That may be why I don't have her when I have many copies of many of the other rares. So maybe now that it's fixed, she'll be introduced back in the game more, and more people will be getting her. You can see based off her reviews of 4, she's not rated very high. But it's a pretty low review set, and I don't know if this leech debuff is really good or just mediocre. So again, if you have her, comment below, let me know. Could be an interesting one to try out, and I'll have to find out who the other person is. I had 3 people with leech: Sethalia, Temptress, and one more. Maybe it's a different lizard guy. But cool. Hope you guys liked that video. It was a bit long one. It describes a lot about, you know, there's probably only 20 more healers that we didn't talk about. Didn't talk about any, you know, common or uncommons, but you probably won't be using them higher level anyways. And just a brief talk about gear. Most of the healers in the game, if they don't have a debuff, you're going to want to have speed and health on them, right? Stay alive, get as many turns as possible to increase the throughput. So there's not really too much craziness for gearing, other than if they have, you know, they need to crit. So say Vrask, for example. Vrask, you would gear him up for as much crit as possible. Let's see, I'll go, I do have a Vrask. And how did I gear him? He's only level 50, so I was using Bad Elf for everything else, but you can see I put Life, and then I'll probably, if I was still using him, I would switch him to Divine Life. fun stuff like his gloves aren't the best, but I put crit rate, right? Because you want to have as close to 100% crit rate as possible. And I use a couple pieces of crit gear, looking for as much HP as possible, so HP on the chest, and then I use speed. Yeah, so the only life speed boots I had, threw those on him to get as much as possible. Not even leveled, but you know, he did the job. Still very good. Obviously the other choice to try is relentless gear. I just don't have a lot of relentless gear. Where is it? There it is. So relentless gear is the one that gives you a chance for an extra turn. Obviously have an extra turn when your healing throughput is so high would be fantastic. So I have a couple pieces, but I'm farming the Fire Knight a little bit. Haven't got any good things to drop. Great. Oh man, these videos can go on forever. Love getting back in the groove of making these videos. They're tons of fun. If you sat through that whole video, kudos to you. That is amazing. I'm going to upload this, and we'll see you guys in the next one.